Welcome to this remote control video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at this thing here. Now this is the TBS race tracker. It's about $60 and it's been out for a couple of months. Now we've been playing with ours, and one of the things that I figured out when I was talking to the TBS team was there is a little tip to make sure this is set up and calibrated and working as well as it possibly can. And what I wanted to do was quickly put a video together to kind of share that with you. Probably worthwhile is taking a quick moment to talk about what this thing actually is in case you've never seen it before. Team Black Sheep actually have a number of race trackers or race timers, and this is kind of the personal edition, which is designed for a single pilot with a single device. Now the way this works is that what it's actually doing is listening to a specific band and frequency FPV signal basically from your quadcopter as it goes past this little device to decide when the actual timer should be started and stopped. So the idea is you put this by the side of your start and stop point, an air gate or something else, and then you start the application and you fly as normal, and the lap times are then automatically calculated and pushed back to an Android or an Apple device. Now we'll show it in a moment connecting up to our little Samsung tablet. To actually see the detail and get this thing all working, you are going to have an Apple or Android device available at the field, and it's going to connect over Bluetooth. Once it's connected over Bluetooth, then you have two options for the application that you use. There's one from Drone Squad, there's one from Team Black Sheep. Either will work. You connect up to this, tell it which band and frequency it's listening to for your specific quadcopter, and then you also do the calibration. Now at the moment this is a one pilot, one device system, so everybody at the field would have to have their own one of these dumped by the side of the air gate. So if you had four pilots racing together, you'd have to have four of these, and that's why TBS do some of the bigger ones, I guess, so that you can do multiple timings at the same time. But this is very handy if you want to stick it in the back of your pack, and when you go out to the flying field, just dump this down where you start and stop your laps to get some nice accurate timing. It is rechargeable battery, lasts about 6 hours, has a little USB port at the top, so you just plug that little sucker in and it takes a couple of hours to charge up, and then it should last you pretty much all day at the flying field. But the last point, which is the one I'm really interested in talking about in the video, is it does need calibration to work well. Now before we get into the next slides, let me very quickly show you how you do this. So first of all you power the device on, and then the lights are flashing, and then what you do is you go onto your Android or Apple device, go into Bluetooth and select pairing, and then the pairing code is 6 zeros, so 000000, and you'll be paired. Once it's paired, then you can download and play with the application that you want to goof around with. So you've either got the Drone Squad one here. So Drone Squad, you have to select it from the menu at the bottom. Drone Squad seem to be working with TBS quite a bit at the moment, so they've integrated the support for this into their application. Or if you don't want to use the Drone Squad one, then Team Black Sheep are creating their own specific version. Ours is 0.9 here. Again, very similar thing. You connect up to the device. Once you've connected, then you can go onto here and you can select the band and frequency that's going to use and do the other pieces too. And then you can do things like set the sensitivity of the receiver, but there's also that little calibrate button. And the calibrate button is the one that I want to talk about. So the tip from the Team Black Sheep guys in terms of calibration is this. So rather than you have to set the gain to low, medium, high or whatever, and that doesn't always necessarily work because each of these individual little race trackers has their own particular sensitivity. So what might work well for medium on one might have to be high or low on another one. So they're all individual. In fact, they're so individual that you probably notice that they each have their own name at the bottom. Mine is called Indigo Chamois, which is very nice, but you'll notice that when you get one, it'll have a different name and they're all individually named. But the best way to actually calibrate this thing is to make sure it's connected, pop it by the side of the air gate or the area that you are going to use at the start and stop for your timing, and then put your model half as far away again, powered up with the right frequency and band selected for the FPV transmitter on the model, so it's actively sending an FP signal. Then once you're in that position, then click the calibrate button in the application that you're playing with, and that will then create a bubble of reception around the device. And the way it works is that if the signal that the TBS race timer is hearing is less than that calibrated value, then it doesn't even try and figure out what the timing should be. But as you fly your quadcopter through the gate at speed, then what it's doing is using basically the power and the RSSI of the FPV signal that it's hearing with some funky logic to try and figure out exactly when it went through the gate. So that's the trick if you are looking at getting one of these things, and they are very fun and they do help you refine your times and get pretty accurate actually. With this thing in the backpack, relatively inexpensive for $60, it does mean that you'll always have access to regular times. And using the apps, you'll also be able to record them and keep them safe and monitor your progression and improvement as you fly. Thank you for taking the time to watch that video. We try and release at least 2 videos a week, usually a quick tip on a Tuesday and a more in-depth video on a Friday, and sometimes we manage to get a few more out as well. If you're interested in radio control, then the playlists are useful to have a look at. Anything that's called Introduction To is an organised set of videos that teach you from first principles about the subject that you're interested in. But we also have information about the majority of popular open source flight controllers, how to build quadcopters, fixed wing models, reviews, setups, unboxing, all kinds of things in here as well. So if you haven't already had a look at the playlist, then I'd recommend going have a look through here to see if there's anything that takes your fancy. Finally, we do also provide updates through things like Twitter, Instagram, and also post all of our 3D designs on Thingiverse as well. So if you like what we're doing here on YouTube, have a look at those things and subscribe to us there, and you'll find out what we're up to in advance of the videos coming out here on the channel.